I want to thank you all for coming to this session, and hopefully this will be a very powerful session that I can share some information that you can actually go back and put into practice, because that's the whole goal of things. Is I like to help develop and grow professionals as I grow and develop myself. So I'm going to learn things from you, and you're going to learn things from me, and we're just going to have a great time collaborating today, talking about some of the topic here, building capacity within the school culture and climate, actually. Our topic is on building capacity within the school culture and climate. And I did want to tell you a little bit about myself, because of the fact it's going to help set a stage for information that we're going to actually go over today. And I'm going to put my name up here because this is another way people learn. They are actually visional people. But I'm going to tell you how I got to this lead school transformation for the state, and I'll describe what that role is and all that kind of stuff. And no way trying to be braggadocious, but I'm just saying that I'm trying to paint a picture for you of what doing the right things can actually lead to. Now, first of all, I've had a gamut of experiences in education, both affluent and as well as in high poverty. I was assistant principal at a high school, very affluent high school, and doing well. I was in school at the time for administration. They allowed in North Carolina at the time that you can go to school and you can be hired. So when I signed up for my first class, I was hired because they were definitely looking for African American males and definitely looking for people that can really go in and make a difference and change. And so I met all the qualifications of that school improvement team. So they hired me at a very affluent high school, 3,000 students. My principal came to me, gave me a lot of leadership roles. I loved it though, because I wanted to learn, because I wanted to be a good principal one day. And so by the time I'm approaching the end of my third year, he comes about 6 months before I'm graduating. He said, "The man's looking at you." And he said, he's going to give you a school. When he said the man, he was talking about the superintendent. He's going to give you a school. And he said, "You may not like the school that he's going to give you." He said, "But go into school, make a difference, and do the best job you can, and it'll open doors for you in your career." Well, when I found out what school it was, then my friends, when I shared it with them, they said, "You going to that school?" And I was like, "Yeah, and why not?" And they said, "Well, I wouldn't do that school because that's going to destroy your career, and you're a first-year principal, and they need somebody experienced about all of that good stuff." So I did have that in the back of my mind, but one thing I remember, I grew up in the projects. So, I know how it was to have food stamps and to go in a line and hoping that your friends don't see you go through the line and you want to pay for the stuff real quick and get on out the door. I remember all of that stuff. So if a teacher made a difference in my life, how much more difference could I make in the lives of the kids that I was going to be servicing as a leader, and if I attracted the right people there that had the same belief as I. So I took the job, went in there. Now, some days when I started, because when you open up a school or you're doing a school where the principal had to be escorted off the campus with about 6 or 7 people, officers, and there were so many things going on as far as relationships that shouldn't occur, misspending of funds, kids off the chain. My superintendent looked at me and said, "There's 3 things I want you to do when you go in that school. I want you to make that school safe. I want you to build the morale of the teachers, and I want you to improve student achievement." Those are the 3 goals that he gave me going in there. So I said, and I can do every last one of them. Well, I went in there with my Joe Clark mentality. I'm going to change this, and we're going to do it in 1 year, and all of that. It didn't quite work in 1 year. Had some good goals and all of that, but I forgot. I've got to deal with the people that are there first. And some of those people were not on board believing that kids can learn. And so when I started there, a lot of the kids were in gangs. They fought constantly. We had 4 and 5 fights a day. And I'm going to tell you, and I hope not to be offensive to anybody, But I went to church one day because I believe in reflecting and asking God for strength and wisdom and guidance. But I called my pastor. I said, Pastor, I said, is anybody going to be down to the church? And he said, well, no, nobody going to be down there today. I said, well, I'm going to go in there. I need to spend some time alone with God because I don't know what to do with these kids and these adults that don't appreciate, children and learning, to know that we are truly the professionals and that we're supposed to be prescriptive and that we analyze what is it going on that you can't learn or not responding to the learning like you should. And then we're going to put things in place so that we can help you there, because kids only get to go through school one time. How many of you would go back to high school if you could? Not most people, but if you can make it better, if you had the wisdom and the knowledge that you had, that you have now, some of us would say, oh, I would do this better and all of this other kind of stuff. I love my life and where it is now. But since I know that there are things I would have done differently, why wouldn't I want to make it better for a child that's coming through those ranks? So I went there and I beat on the floor and I prayed and cried and everything. Help me and all. And I came back. I couldn't just rely on my theoretical knowledge and the experiences that I already had. I needed some other stuff that would have an impact right away. And so that's why I'm going to share some things with you today of just strategies that you did. But is it going to be the strategy that you need? Hopefully some of the things you could tweak and do, yes. But you're going to have to know your culture very well in order to know what's going to work and what's not going to work. But I'm going to tell you, one of the key things that you're going to need is you're going to need a bunch of adults there that believe that the work can be done. I'm so glad I never choose a doctor that don't believe that they can find out what's wrong with me and help me get the right medication or whatever I need in order to get better. And we're supposed to be the ones that train doctors to give them the basic foundation so that one day they will be a doctor. We're the ones, I never choose a plane and know that, well, this pilot does not have a good track record. He crashes sometimes. Who would jump on that plane? And that's why you have parents coming to the school to say, I don't want my child to have that teacher, because they know the results that have come out is that the kids have not performed well. And not saying that there's not a lot of dynamics to deal with, but the first thing is that you got to believe you can make the difference. And you got to believe in the kids, and you got to believe you can find out what it is to make this thing prescriptive. So all in the essence in the background, I'm going to show you some of the things of what we face as far as where our school was according to data and all this other kind of stuff, and then where we ended up and all of that. But a lot of the graphs I won't go into and all of that, because we have some things where we're going to interact with each other, and I'm going to learn some more things from you. All right, but now I got to the point where the state had already taken over our school. So I didn't see it as a bad thing. It's just something, well, I'm just going to embrace what it is that they're saying that we should be doing and try to implement it as to the best of my ability. But as we talked, they were like, well, oh, you got a good, vision for that. So go ahead. So they became more support. My central office was a support. And I say that is because in order to change school cultures, central office they have to support you. Everybody that is involved, parent, community. I even gotten with the Chamber of Commerce, mayors, all kind of people to come and help us support us in the school. I used to go take my time out and go to churches. I taught the pastors. A lot of the folks in there believe in going to church, and they wouldn't come out to the school, but they'll go to church. So I went to the church, and the church, the pastors would give me 5 to 15 minutes to speak to the congregation and share the vision and mission and all this kind of things. And after a while, parents started coming out, helping, wanting to support. So what I'm saying is it took a buy-in from everybody to actually start moving it. So it's not something that James Ellaby did, but the work paid off. It was a lot of hard work, because then the state saw the changes in the school from the year I started to my last year, the 5th year, and all in between, how it started gradually improving and changing, that they's like, well, you got to come and you got to work for the state. And then those low-performing school districts and schools, we want you to train the administrators on things that they can do, help them analyze and blah, and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I did. And because I was in such a good system, some of the things that I implemented, when my boss saw the things and the changes that were going on with those schools, she was like, well, you got to come and you got to train all the folks that do the work that you do. So now I'm in a supervisor's role. So that's why it says lead transformation coach, because I work for the Department of Public Instruction, and then I'm a district and school transformation person, and I'm in that division. So all of the school and transformation coaches in the state, I evaluate them. We geographically locate them in areas and different things so that they can support those schools that are underperforming, low achieving, and so that we can probably and hopefully make a difference in the areas so that students in the end are coming out a whole lot better than what they are. Okay, today is June 15th. What will I explore today? One, we together, because I'm going to learn from you too, we'll talk about what gap intervention fatigue is, which is some interventions are very needed. Those are some great interventions out there. But when you're inundated with interventions, how do you know they really work? You know? If you don't have people that see the full scope of what this intervention is supposed to do, how do we know that they're going to implement it inside of the classroom when you're not there or wherever it needs to be implemented? So we're going to talk about what this gap intervention fatigue is about. Building capacity, which is what this whole session is really about. We'll talk about that, delve into that. And there's 3 points that I want to concentrate on: the knowledge, skills, and the disposition, building a capacity framework, as well as the essence of data. We're going to be talking about that. And data, how many of you, when you hear the word data, you just automatically think of numbers? Well, math people would, numbers, Joseph and Damon. Okay, all right, and it's a lot of numbers. But I'm so glad I'm almost about to finish my doctorate, but I learned that there's quantitative data and that there's qualitative data. And what the type of data that a lot of people don't like to deal with is the qualitative data. They want something where the numbers show this, that, this what you should do and all of that. And school cultures are not set up to be like